Yeah. And feel free to ask me questions as we go. Like I'll do a brief conversation about this. So the name of the model that I've developed since it's been a couple of years, like I want to say 2018 is when I started. It's called the IAP model, Intention, Action, Perception, from my book Why Are We Fighting? The premise of the model is that when we're talking about communication, because I notice that things get lost in translation so often, I realized there are internal and external factors of communication. Internal factors are our intentions. Only I know what my intention is. Unless I tell other people what it is, I'm kind of leaving them guessing, right? Because I know. Perception is also internal, so the person receiving or observing. The thing is that their perception, it comes from their point of view, their culture, their previous experiences. So it may not be exactly what we intended it to be. The only external factor is the action itself. I have a thing with the expression actions speak louder than words, because I say if not all actions are universal. So if I don't know what your actions are telling me, I may interpret it erroneously. Fair enough?
Yes.
So when I talk about the intention, action, perception, I tell my clients, like, attached to our intentions, which is our wants and our desires, also our expectations of others. What is my expectation of other people when I do something? Perception, being, again, as I said, internal to the receiver, is based or guided by their worldview. My being from Brazil, coming here, being Jewish Brazilian who lives in the United States, my experience of the world and the world's experience of me may be different from somebody who looks different from me, who has had different experiences of me. Or even I cite, this was birthed from my relationship with my husband. He is from Rio. I am from São Paulo. Our vision of time is different. Right? I see things like, why wait for tomorrow what you can do today? And he is, why do today what I don't need to think about like a month from now? Right? So we have different experiences of time, and we needed to learn how to understand each other's languages, if I may, even though the two of us speak Portuguese. So I often tell my clients, like, questions that I ask as food for thought is, are your intentions clearly reflecting what you want the intended person to receive? And what are the expectations that you have associated to them? And for the receiver, am I clearly understanding what that individual is doing? Like, do they get the benefit of the doubt that maybe the way I interpreted it wasn't the way that they meant for it to be? Are we so far so good? Okay.
Yeah.
Actions or lack thereof can be used to communicate our intentions and our expectations. But as I said before, it can get lost in translation. So I'll tell you the example where this kind of was birthed. I had a fight with my now husband, before boyfriend, and I left the room. When I left the room, my assumption was, if he cares, he's going to follow me. He didn't follow me. And things kind of got worse. But then I asked, why did you not follow me? And he said, you created space. And if I had created space, I would want you to respect that. So in respecting you, I actually thought you were going to appreciate me, right? But instead, it led to a fight. And so one of the things that we learned is, if I leave the room, you follow me. If you leave the room, I give you space. We learn what the other person wanted. So this can be beautiful. The question is, how do we apply it? What are the strategies that we can implement? I will not have time to go through all of them today, but these are some of the ones that I talk about. There's the 3 columns of communication. I'll go through them really quickly. Rule of 3 interpretations, code words, preamble. There are all of these. I have worksheets for the majority of them as to how to apply, to be able to help us make sure that our communication is as clear as possible. It's important to note the IAP model is not just for couples. It's focused on communication in spite of relationship. So I've even used it in the workplace. I'll go really quickly through the 3 columns of communication. This came actually from not my romantic relationship, but when a client was having an issue with one of the therapists that works for me, and I needed to step in. And I'm like, okay, column one is venting. What would I like to say to the intended person, but not say it to that person? I am just venting. In the venting process, we're tangential. We use a lot of words that will get us to the wrong place. It's just venting, right? Column two, and I'm going to skip a couple slides as I talk about this, but column two is deciphering the message, right? So as I said here, column one is the venting process, things when they are internal. Like if you just fight in your head, you notice that the fight gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So externalizing it is huge. Even just talking about it in the shower. The reason I say the shower and so many other options is you feel the water soothing you. You're talking aloud, it's kind of muffled. People are not necessarily listening to you. And when you hear yourself, it goes out and in. Kind of like for us to breathe, we need to let CO2 out for oxygen to come in. If we don't say things out, if we don't say things out loud, it stays in here and everything seems true in here. Our senses are like fact checkers in a way. So after we go through the venting, we decipher the message. In the worksheet, I ask you questions. There's a difference between what I want to say and what I want the intended person to receive. So the questions are, why do I want this person to receive this message? What's the intention? What purpose will it serve and to what end? And what am I expecting in return? Once I have the message, now is what is the best delivery method? Right? How can I communicate it in a way that individual will understand? There are different delivery methods. We can talk about like texting versus voice notes versus phone call is one way. But I mean, knowing my audience, like for example, my mother-in-law, love her. She's a person who puts others before herself. And when we see that, we get frustrated and we want to tell her, like, it's to your detriment. Put yourself first. If you tell a person who puts others before themselves, put yourself first, that and nothing are the same thing. So instead, I express like, this is what happens when we see at your detriment, that people now are taking advantage. There are times that you can do it, which is beautiful. But when people are taking advantage, we hurt. Me, my husband, your husband. Put us first, like just balance, right? When is it to my detriment and when is it not? When we don't have a delivery method, when we don't know how to best deliver our message, we can fall into the I statement. Now, in the book, I do talk about the I statement because people get it wrong a lot. I don't know if most of you may have heard of the I statement that was developed like many years ago, but the formula is I feel when something specific and what would I like or prefer. The way people cheat the I statement. So let's start with do's and don'ts. Avoid accusations. So the words you, the reason for the I statement is I'm letting you know like how I am experiencing something. The moment I say you didn't do something, we go into the defense mode. And because we're defending ourselves, either thinking of when I didn't do it, or if I can't, I'm going to think about times when you did what you're accusing me of. I am no longer listening to you. So when we use words like that or like, after, I feel like you, that's cheating. I feel that you, that's cheating. Is I feel frustrated. I feel disrespected. I feel happy. It's the emotion needs to follow the terms I feel. So I hear people cheating it all the time. I'm like, that's not the I statement just because you're saying the word I. Use in your tonality using active versus passive language, right? So active language, you hurt me because you left me waiting. Passive, I felt hurt when I was left waiting. So that passiveness, one, it changes the tone because it's difficult for you to be at when you're having to like go through that filter. And again, it's bringing onto you. Distancing versus inclusive language. So instead of you, we can use we. Instead of why are you starting a fight, why are we fighting? Why can't you do better? Why can't we do better? We don't feel as alone in the wrongdoer island, you know? Avoid generalizations, always and nevers. most of the time, it's fine. Even in a conversation with my husband once, he said always, and I'm like, rephrase that, because I immediately went into the defense self. And he's like, no, you know what? It's not always. So I'm like, okay. I think that the do's and don'ts of the I statement is such a good thing. It's the reason I'm going through it. I did not create the I statement, but I do see this happening a lot, and it's become part of the book. And the last thing is, make sure that when you're talking about what you would want the next time, that is realistic, right? And even invite, like, how can we do it better next time? What have we learned from this situation into the next? Any questions on the 3 columns of communication? All right. The other one, so the 3 columns is for the person giving the information. For the person receiving the information, to make sure that our intentions are received clearly. It's the rule of 3 interpretations. Essentially, for the rule of 3 interpretations, we differentiate between facts, what is known, and assumptions. Where am I here? Okay, here it is. So I talk about like reaction versus response, but I'm just gonna go into this statement. I cannot know what I don't know, and when I don't know, I act based on what I think I know. So when we're able to differentiate between a fact and a statement, it becomes a little bit easier for us to deal with things. So let's say that my friend was supposed to call me after we last hung out, but she seemed frustrated when she left. And then she did not call. My immediate assumption is she's mad at me, and then anxiety might be heightened because something I did wrong. The only fact is she looked a little bit, funky when we left, and she was supposed to call and she didn't. Those are the 2 things that I know. The rest is my own narrative trying to put things together. For some reason, I don't know why, we tend to always go with worst case scenarios or take it personally. It's just a thing. It happens. In the rule of 3 interpretations, I ask that people identify 2 other possibilities. For balance sake, if I had the worst case scenario, let me think of best case scenario. Like, she received an email from work that got her a little bit mad, and now she's like super busy. Or in a likely case scenario, she just forgot to call me, right? Or I don't know, maybe something happened with her family and she forgot to call. But when I don't check my initial assumption, I tend to use it as if it were a fact. Right? So the rule of 3 interpretations is giving the benefit of the doubt and identifying there are other ways of looking at the same thing. And then once you identify that, you choose which one serves me best. If I want to break up with someone, the worst case scenario will serve me best, right? If I don't, I get to choose. Those are all possibilities. I don't know what it is unless I legitimately ask. They are all assumptions. So I get to choose the one that serves me best and act based on that. Fair enough? I'm just gonna, I had put a lot of information, which, because like when we put it up for everybody else, like I can give it. The other one that I'll talk about is code words. Code words have been really helpful. There's a science to code words. Code words, by the way, can be a single word, combination of words, or even physical touch or nonverbals. Every code word must have a meaning associated to it, the instructions that follow to all parties involved, and can only be used as warranted. So I'll give the example. It comes from past experience. My husband would come home from work after, like, this was pre-COVID when we worked like at the office, and then since then we've been working mostly from home. He would come home and he was mentally pooped and he just could not talk to me. And I am all excited. Like, I saw clients all day, every day, and I'm listening to people. So I'm excited to talk. And I would want to talk. And his face is, I would take it personal. I'll get frustrated. And so we started by looking at past experiences and asking ourselves, like, what is my behavior and what would I want the other person to kind of get from this? So I look at the desired outcome for him was for me to understand that he was mentally pooped. So we created the code words, and these are different ones. Sorry. I had so many. I'm not home. I'm not home means I'm tired and I need to be able to just like have my time. So when he tells me I'm not home, I let him be. And I even am cute about it. I'll go like, do you know when you're gonna be home? But we respect it. The only time that I get to not respect his I'm not home is if there is an emergency. And this is just like three out of a couple of different strategies that we have to be able to put the IAP model into action. And it really helps with communication. I saw that my 15 minutes are up, so I'm gonna stop talking and ask if there are any questions. And if you want to go over any of the other strategies, I'm more than happy to do it.